Questions that I get asked all the time. How many students do you have at each group? How many rotations do you do? What are your best tips for transitioning from one center to another? I get a lot of questions about this. So I'm going to explain the two systems that have worked for my classrooms in the past, and they should work for you. I've used them with so many different types of groups of students that I've had, different types of schools, different times that I've had to do centers, and they've both worked. So every year it is different, and that's okay. Sometimes halfway through the year, you might have to switch up, and that's completely fine, as long as you understand the systems of these rotations. So the first one is 4-rotation system. And what it means is students go to 4 centers every day. You switch those centers every single day, and they get to see you every single day. So if you have an hour-long block for centers, they would get to do each center for about 12 minutes. I would always have a minute for transitioning into the center, as well as a minute at the end to clean up. So it would be about 12 minutes of them actually sitting down and working. Now, the benefits of this is that you get to see them every single day, but it is for a shorter amount of time. So it's only for about 12 minutes. There's not much you can do in 12 minutes, although that is like the perfect amount of time for a lesson. So this works best for smaller class sizes. I would say like under 24 students is best, because if you have more than 24 students, that's going to be more than 6 in a center group. And that's just when it gets really chaotic. So definitely a smaller class size. And if you have a group that needs a little bit more intervention time, this would be good because you are seeing those students consistently every single day. So this is what the 4-rotation system would look like. And you can find these planning sheets in my TPT store. They have planning sheets for centers. So literally everything you need, you just type it in and it will autofill for you. So it automatically goes through the different centers. So they might go to a small group guided reading first with me, and then maybe they would do technology next, a game, and then independent writing, they would practice writing sentences. So this is just an example of a day. So with this system, you do have to switch out your centers every single day. With the 6 group rotation, you have 6 centers for 2 days. So your students would go to 3 centers per day. So on day 1, group 1 would go to center number 1, center number 6, and center number 5. So the first 3 centers. And then on Tuesday, the next day, they would go to center 4, center 3, center 2. So it automatically shows you what center numbers that they would need to go to. So this would be super helpful to have if you have the 6 rotation system. So the benefits of this is that your guided reading lessons are longer, but you only see them twice a week. So with this system, Monday, Tuesday would be the first set of centers, and then Wednesday, Thursday would be the next set of centers. And I will explain what I did on Fridays. I did the same thing for both systems on Fridays. That really helped motivate my students to finish their centers. But with the 6-rotation system, this would be best for a larger class. So if you have more than 20 students, I would suggest doing 6 rotations to keep those groups small. You're able to move kids around a little bit more in those groups, which is helpful when you might have a student who is not working well with their group. Instead of only having 3 other options of groups that they go in, you have 5 other options of groups that they go in. So with both these systems, I would have what I called Fun Friday, which is really just like a free choice Friday. So it's free choice centers. So here's how it works. If and only if the students finish all of their work for the week, they would get to go pick a center. I had 6 centers laid out. They had to pick one of each category. So there were 2 technology centers that they could choose from. There were 2 independent centers that they could choose from, and then there were 2 game activity type of centers that they could choose from. And I would just pull different centers from the past week. I would also sometimes I would have a painting center where they got to paint their sight words, or a Lego center where they just got to play with Legos, because sometimes they needed that extra playtime. So it wasn't always very academic, but they were working on fine motor skills, working with others, working independently. They were still working on those important skills, but not all of them were practicing like a specific skill. Sometimes if I noticed that my students were really struggling with a specific skill, I would make sure that I would have that center available so they could have that extra practice. If the students did not finish their work for the week, they would have to sit at their desks and finish their work before they got to choose a Fun Friday center. So on Fun Friday, what I would do is I would have all the students who did not finish their work, I would have their work already sitting at their desks for them. And everybody would be sitting on the carpet. I would say, okay, if you have work on your desk, you need to go back and finish it right now. If not, you get to pick your first Fun Friday center. I would explain the centers really quickly. I usually kept them pretty similar, so I didn't have to do too much explaining. And I would call the students one by one to pick a center quickly. And that would take me about two minutes. And the rules were they could not be more than 4 students at each center. It depends on your class size, so it might be more for you. And your students must think about who is at the center, and if it's somebody that they don't really work well with, then maybe they should go pick a different center. So as long as they hit 3 of those centers on the Fun Friday, that's perfect. They don't have to finish the center. It's more fun and extra practice. So I always did that on Fridays. It was really helpful when I had short weeks, because if there's only 4 days, if we had a Monday off or a Friday off, I didn't have to worry about trying to move centers around. I only planned for that week. So what I did during the Fun Friday centers is I would pull students as needed. So some weeks I might pull all of my students and work on sight words individually with them. Some weeks I would maybe grab one group of students and re-practice a skill that they learned in the week that maybe they struggled with. Maybe I noticed that a group was struggling with handwriting, and I pulled a couple kids from different groups to work on their handwriting. So I would just kind of pull kids as I needed, and that always worked really well for me. I try to see every kid every day, or every Friday, but it didn't always work out, and that's okay. I just tried to make sure I would see them